This girl right here was stabbed while she was working, and police continuing to try to find out who did this. There you can see she was working at this high-end furniture store. Someone just came in and stabbed her. Really devastating news, as the father now speaking out of a UCLA graduate student stabbed to death just last week in a random daylight attack in Los Angeles. Now the father is blaming politicians for letting criminals run rampant. He said, "Crime is truly spiking, and we have a lot of criminals on the streets that shouldn't be out." The grieving father, Todd Kupfer, told Fox News his 24-year-old daughter, Brianna Kupfer, was murdered on Thursday by a person who walked into Croft House, an upscale furniture store where she worked, and plunged a knife right into her. We have a lot of politicians that somehow forget about people and think the key to getting elected is to support the lowest rung of our society and to give them rights, and somehow that's the answer to getting votes, the father said. Brianna Kupfer was studying design at UCLA and had been working part-time for about a year as a consultant at Croft House on North La Brea Avenue. She was a kind soul and always was trying to make herself better and everything around her better, said Kupfer, the father, fighting back tears as she cared about people. The murdered woman loved to sew and made a lot of her own garments by hand. Brianna Kupfer graduated from the University of Miami before returning to California to pursue a degree at UCLA. The father said his daughter was an avid reader who wasn't glued to her phone like many young people. She had traveled extensively, including jaunts to Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Europe, but had more far-flung destinations she couldn't wait to explore. She was focused on ambitious and kept a bucket list on her phone where she mapped out her plans, her dad said. But those aspirations came to an abrupt and tragic end on Thursday when a man wearing a dark hoodie, a white N-95 mask, and dark clothing entered the Croft House at about 1:50 in the afternoon. For no reason, he stabbed her to death, then fled out the back door into a rear alley. According to the Los Angeles Police Department, surveillance video captured him calmly strolling down the alley toward Oakwood Avenue. A customer entered the store 20 minutes later and found the woman dead, lying in a pool of blood. She was alone in the store, which was unusual, her dad said. Usually there were 2 employees present during business hours. Police on Monday declined to comment on the progress of the investigation, and the father said he had not received any recent updates from detectives. The murder rate in Los Angeles has soared in recent years, and violent crime has rocked even the city's wealthiest enclaves. The Los Angeles County District Attorney, who is a Democrat, won over voters last year with promises of sweeping criminal justice reforms that critics say put the interest of criminals before the safety of the community. We can't afford to have the good constantly knocked down by the bad, the grieving father said. We need to champion my daughter as a beacon of what's wrong and make sure that people recognize that, because it could be their children next, and it's just an impossible price to pay there. Very sad news out there, and it's really not getting the attention that it deserves when we still have a murder suspect there out in the loose. That's why we're bringing this to your attention right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. In other news here, Vice President Kamala